All right, we're gonna go ahead and do our week 8 predictions. I'm gonna start us off with LSU at Vanderbilt. So we talked about going to this game. Tickets were a little bit out of our price range, and I think we found some other options. But LSU defensively, to me, I'm having a hard time seeing how they lose this game. I think they're one of the best run defenses right now, and as far as pass defense is concerned, I just don't know what Vanderbilt's gonna be able to find in the passing game. I mean, there are holes, yes. Ole Miss and South Carolina had a couple of explosive plays, but not many other teams have found him against LSU. I love Vanderbilt. I really want to pick them, but I'm just having a hard time seeing them as a favorite in this game and actually covering and winning, even though it's a very tight line, pretty much even. I'm going to take LSU 23-16. We're seeing similar game scripts for LSU when they win. I think it'll be a little tighter than those 20-10 games we've been seeing. I think Vanderbilt's too good to hang back and only score 7 or 10 points in this game. So I'll give LSU the benefit of the doubt, but I totally see a scenario where Vanderbilt can actually pull off this win. But Diego Pave's got to play his best game this season.
Vanderbilt's just better, in my opinion. I'm sorry. This team was two red zone turnovers away from having a really good chance against Bama. I don't trust LSU at all. I know their offense looked a little bit better this week, but they still only scored 20, had some red zone turnovers. I mean, I just going on the road. This is a huge spot for Vanderbilt. They can really do something special if they win this one. So I like them to win this one 24-20 and just really be the better team in this game. I just don't trust LSU. They're also creeping up a little too high in the rankings. They're back to number 10,
Yeah.
which is just ridiculous. Like, they have done nothing to be ranked there, and they're just due to fall again, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think defensively is the only reason I put them high enough in my rankings to be where they're at. I just haven't seen a team play as consistently on defense as LSU has. Again, they're not
They've
perfect.
had to win these games. Like, that's been the only thing they can do.
If you can win games like that, when your team can't run the ball and you have a defense like that, if you're still winning games because of your defense, that says a lot. Because most of the time, a team winning games because of their defense has an offense that at least can run the ball. And sure, LSU had a better performance against South Carolina running ball last week, but it wasn't great. It really wasn't that great. And I think that that game had a lot of different ways it could have gone. So I'm not going to say LSU should have won a blowout. I'm not going to say South Carolina should have won or made it close. The game ended the way it did for a reason, but I just think there's some sketchy stuff going on with LSU's offense, and I think that would be the determining factor for me if Vanderbilt can move the ball. Is I actually think Vanderbilt's going to do well defensively against LSU. That's why it's going to be close. But I just feel better about LSU, unfortunately. I wish I could pick against them right now. I really do. But everything in me is telling me gut feeling I need to pick LSU here. If I'm picking LSU, that probably means there's a decent reason because I'm typically not going to do that if I feel like the other team has a really good chance. So next game we got Georgia Tech at Duke. This is another. There's a lot of games on on these previews for next week that I'm really torn on. This is one of them. I feel like this is Georgia Tech's probably best chance of dropping a game this season. I think that because Duke presents a passing offense unlike the rest of the teams that Georgia Tech's playing this season, this is what's going to give them the most trouble if they win or make it close. Georgia Tech, yes, they're great on offense running the ball, but could they win in a shootout? I don't know if they could. I think that's the one game we haven't seen out of them yet. Is can they win in a shootout against a team that's possibly similar in talent and skill level? I like Georgia Tech to win this game, but I think it's going to be close, and I think Duke at home has a chance to pull the upset. I've got Georgia Tech winning though, 34-31. I'm not picking against Haynes King with this schedule they've got right now until he proves that they're not going to win. So I'm going to stick with Georgia Tech and ride with them on this one.
I'm rolling with Duke. Georgia Tech's had a few close calls, a game they should have lost against Wake. I just don't think they're that great. They're up to number 12 right now, which is just crazy. I mean, they've taken care of business, to be fair. Like, that's all you can ask. But I just don't trust them right now. Duke kind of had a rough start to the year, but they have got back on track, and they're hosting this one. Mensa expect them to have a good game, and I think they get this one 24-21. Kind of reverse Clemson game for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I definitely see a scenario where Darian Mensah has a really good night and they win a ranked game, which would put them right back up there with a chance in the ACC. We'll see. I think Georgia Tech might be a little bit more balanced defensively than Duke. Their secondary's been rough. Moving on, Arizona at Houston. This game's weird. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Houston, with the healthy Connor Wigman's a really decent team. They've turned out a lot better than I thought they would be. Arizona, when Noah Fafita heats up, can be really dangerous. I think Arizona needs this win more. Houston really, I don't see them playing for anything, even if they continue to win games like
They
this.
get to a bowl game with this win. They haven't been to a bowl in like 3 years, I don't think.
I mean, this Willie Fritz is doing a good job with this team. Like they're playing competitively. Even against Texas Tech, they showed some competitive streaks, and Texas Tech's really solid. I think it's gonna be really close, but I think we might see a shootout here. I'm gonna take Arizona to win this game, 38-31. Last time I picked Arizona in an upset, they proved me wrong, got blown out by Iowa State. I'm gonna give them one more chance here. But if they can't prove me right here, I don't know that I'll be picking them in another game for the rest of the season. But I like No Fafita. I think he's going to win this one.
So I'm going to go against you here for the third game in a row. I like Houston here. I think their defense is the difference in the game. I don't love Arizona's offense. Obviously, Fafita is a great player, but outside of him, there's not really a ton there. Houston's offense has not been amazing this year, but I think they have a good, consistent game at home, and they find a way to get this one 28-20 and get to 6-1 and be bowl eligible for the first time in several years.
A one loss Houston, a one loss Cincinnati would be really interesting at this point in the season. So I think we're going to continue to have some talks about Cincinnati and what they can do with their schedule. I need to take a look at Houston's schedule after they possibly win this game and see what they can do. But they look like they could beat some of these other decent teams in the Big 12 right now, including Arizona. So that game should be fun. The next game I've got is Baylor at TCU. This game is going to be a good game. Watch this game. I know both these teams have multiple losses, yes, but both these teams have elite quarterback play and high powered offenses with little to no defense. TCU might have a little bit more to say on that front, but I fully anticipate a shootout. I'm going to take TCU 49-45. I just think they've got a more well rounded team, and that's what's going to come out on top.
I've harped on this multiple times this year. Just Baylor's defense is so terrible. It's so terrible. They can't stop anything. TCU needs a response here after losing at Kansas State last week. I think they get it in this rivalry game. I also have a pretty good shootout here, 42-34. TCU gets this one.
Yeah, I like TCU in this one. Josh Hubert's got something to prove. I know that he knows that offense has the capability to put up a million points against Baylor's really weak defense. I think we'll see it with a home shootout, TCU on top. Next game, Oklahoma and South Carolina. We already covered this one a little bit. I'm going to take South Carolina 28-23. Um, Landon had this as one of his dogs, so obviously I'm not going to put it up there as one of my call the dogs, even though I have South Carolina winning as a dog at home. Oklahoma just doesn't look great right now. Unfortunately, I was really high on them, but they're showing me a lot of reasons why I should pick South Carolina in this game is a rebound. So maybe we'll see a similar trend and South Carolina will start going on a run like they did last year. Let's move on. Ole Miss at Georgia. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to pick against Ole Miss. I definitely see a scenario where Ole Miss could win this game, but at Georgia, historically, we haven't played well in this game. Georgia's very good at home. Both these teams they can win and lose any SEC matchup to me against a decent SEC team. Like I think Ole Miss has played in enough one possession SEC games and trailed enough games this season to make me feel like we're not the same team we were last year. The fact that we're 6-0 right now is really impressive, but we haven't played anybody really great outside of LSU and Tulane. Georgia's well rounded but vulnerable. I think it'll be close. Ole Miss is going to be able to find some points in this game, but I bet you a couple of key turnovers, maybe an interception from Trinidad Chambliss, and inability to protect the quarterback will probably be the downfall of Ole Miss in this game. I'm going to take Georgia 27-20, but once again, and this is always going to sound like me covering my butt in close games, but I definitely see a scenario where Ole Miss can pull this out. But I just have a tough time not picking Georgia to win this one. I think that Ole Miss could rebound from a loss here, but Georgia could not. Georgia needs this win more. I think they win at home.
Last time Ole Miss went down to Athens, it did not go very well. I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as that game was, but as Wilkes was saying, Georgia really needs this win. Ole Miss had a great start, 6-0. They really haven't played anybody that's great. Kind of feels like their schedule's set up this way the past few years, and they've lost games like this. So I think Georgia gets this one at home, 31-21. I do think it could be closer than that. I feel like 10 points might be a little bit too much, but I'm just going to stick with that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really competitive. To me, the difference between this game and the 23 game where we got blown out in Athens is that we're not relying on our offense to win the game. We are a more even keeled team than we have been in the past. Last year, defensively, if we had that defense this year, I would pick us. We'll probably pick us to run the table. But unfortunately, we don't have that. But Georgia is not the same team defensively that they've always been. They're susceptible. I think that the trenches for both of these teams are kind of question marks right now. So I like our skill positions better, and that's why I think we have a really good chance to win. But Georgia at home, I'm just gonna have to give them the edge in this one. I think they're gonna probably come away with a win, but should be really fun. College game day. Ole Miss hasn't had college game day highlight any of their games in a while, so that should be fun. Sad that I can't make it to this one, but hopefully they'll come to Oxford soon for a game. Maybe not this year, but hopefully next year. Then the next game I've got, I had this as one of my dogs. UNLV at Boise State. I took UNLV 41 to 35. Gonna be interesting. Landon, what'd you have for this one?
I have Boise State winning this one. Hosting it on the blue turf. UNLV's defense is just too bad to win this game. It's just non-existent, and that's really just the main thing that's going to determine this game in my eyes. So I have Boise State winning 45 to 31.
Yeah, if Boise State can slow the game down and run the ball, the yards are there. They can run the ball against this poor UNLV defensive front. If they lean on that attack, I think they'll probably win. But if they start getting behind the chains and start throwing the ball, UNLV gets a couple picks. I bet it's a shootout. We'll see though. I think the team that plays the best defense should win and come up with key plays. The next game we got is Mississippi State at Florida. You had this as one of your dogs. I'm gonna go ahead and get my score real quick and a quick thought. I ended up picking Mississippi State in this one, 29 to 27. I think Mississippi State wants this win more. I think they have more motivation. I think Florida's kind of dead in the water right now. Unfortunately, in the swamp, I still don't think they'll be able to come away with a win here. It's a very possible scenario, but Mississippi State wins this game. They move to 5-2. That's a
Yep.
big mark for them. They're already over their win total from last year and what Vegas had them at for this year. This would be a huge win for State. I know Florida's 2-4, but this would be a huge win. I'm going to take Mississippi State. I think if they protect the quarterback, that'll be the key to the game. They'll find some explosives against this very spotty Florida team. There's a lot of different versions of Florida that could show up in this game. I think there's one or two of them that could beat Mississippi State, but there's just too many versions of Florida we've seen. I think if the USF version or the Miami version shows up, State wins. So let's move on. Tennessee at Alabama. This will be a great game. I have no doubt. I've got Alabama winning 34 to 27. I just feel like Alabama right now is on a roll. Three straight ranked wins against SEC teams, which with the cannibalism of the SEC, this could end right here. Tennessee could win and just start the cycle back over again. And we don't know if Tennessee's better than Alabama or if Georgia's better than Tennessee or who's better out of those three teams because they're just cannibalizing each other. They're all good. I know that for a fact. I think Alabama's probably going to win this game. Ty Simpson's the better quarterback for sure. He keeps the ball safe and he makes great decisions and he has an insane arm with extremely good accuracy. Alabama continues to protect the quarterback against a weak Tennessee defense. I think they'll win this game at home by at least a touchdown.
So the last time the Tennessee went to Tuscaloosa and picked up a win was 2003. That's before both of us were alive. I don't think that changes this year. Tennessee does not have enough on defense. DeBoer has not lost a home game yet. Alabama's on a tear. Tennessee's looked a little sketchy the past few weeks. So I don't see really any reason to not pick against the Tide here. I have them coming out on top 38 to 28.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. That's a crazy stat. I do like Tennessee. Don't get me wrong. I think I had them sneaking in the playoffs even after
I
possibly a
have them
loss
running the
here.
table after this.
I think there's a real chance. That Vanderbilt game should be fun though. But look for this game to be really interesting late in the fourth quarter. Alabama's been playing some close games, but they're finding themselves on the winning side a lot. So we'll see if that translates. If they keep winning, I mean, I feel good about them as my national championship team still having a really good shot, even despite the rough week one start and everybody doubting them. Lessons from last fall told us one thing: don't forget about Alabama. And here we are. Moving on, USC at Notre Dame. I just feel like Notre Dame's going to win this football game. They need it bad. I've got them winning 35 to 24. USC has some real struggles at running back right now with some injuries. They've ran the ball really well, so it's unfortunate that they've got these injuries, or else I'd feel a lot better about them. But going into South Bend against a desperate Notre Dame team that's looked really good later on as we've gone in through the season. I think CJ Carr and Jeremiah Love have a solid offensive output, and they send USC packing back home in a rivalry matchup.
I have Notre Dame winning this one as well. I think USC's defense gets exposed again this week. I know they played great last week, but I think that's kind of an illusion. The way that Notre Dame can attack with CJ Carr and what they do is going to be targeting some of the biggest weaknesses of USC's defense. And then, like Wilkes was saying, the injuries to USC, what they suffered last week, is going to show up in this one. I think Notre Dame's defense does a better job in this game. They've looked a lot better the past few weeks, albeit against weaker offenses, but I think they put together a pretty solid defensive performance against a good USC defense. And I have Notre Dame winning this one 41-28.
Yeah, I like what they did against Arkansas. Arkansas has been statistically one of the best offenses in college football, and they destroyed Arkansas. Like, Arkansas never had a chance. Like, as soon as Notre Dame got on the football field, it was pretty evident who the better football team was. And up to this point, Tennessee and Ole Miss were not able to do that. Or Memphis, even though they won, they were clearly not the better football team than Arkansas in that field. They somehow got away with a gift with that fumble. So I think the Arkansas win, you can take a lot from that. Despite the fact that Arkansas is not great record wise right now and they fired their head coach, they're still really talented and they've given a lot of teams a scare right now. And Notre Dame body bagged them at Arkansas. So I think that's where I'm drawing most of my lean from, and the fact that USC's got injuries at running back. So I'm looking forward to that game. Last year was tough. I thought USC should have won that game last
The
year.
two pick sixes that were just the killer.
I'm sure that is haunting USC right now, and Jed Mayava's had a pin dot on this game on his clipboard all year. So he's going to come into this game firing on all cylinders with Makai Lemon in this offense. We may see a offensive shootout in this game. There's always a chance that USC brings their best in this game, but I just don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. So definitely leaning Notre Dame in a must-win game.
So more about their defense. They gave up 13 to Arkansas, and then these last 2 weeks to Boise and NC State, 7 points each,
That's
which is
impressive.
a huge improvement from giving up 41 to A&M, and especially giving up 30 to Purdue.
Yeah,
They've definitely found something out, even if their defense has only improved a little bit, and maybe Boise State's offense and NC State's offense aren't great. They definitely found something, and are not the same team that gave up 30 points to Purdue.
they're creating turnovers too. Madsen and CJ Bailey had several interceptions. So I like what I'm seeing. The secondary is turning around. They're rushing the passer. NC State and Boise State are not bad offenses. They're both teams with winning records that have put up some good offensive numbers at certain points of the season. So impressive stuff from Notre Dame the past couple weeks. I know they haven't had a huge statement win, but I like what they're doing. Next game we got Utah at BYU. I think BYU is due for a loss here. This is a solid rivalry game here. So, I mean, I think it'll be close just because of that. But I like Utah just overall as the better team. I think Devin Dampier is clearly the better quarterback. I think this team will be able to control the game, similar to how BYU likes to play with that complementary style of football. I think Utah's just better at that. I think they're going to be able to pull away at some point, maybe have a key interception or turnover in the fourth quarter. I've got them winning 28-20 on a Devin Dampier consistency masterclass.
I also have Utah winning. BYU has been just skating on some thin ice for several weeks now. Utah's the best team they played by far. Big rivalry game. I know they're hosting it, but I feel like Utah is just too much of the better team here, and they win this one 31-28.
Yeah, I think true freshman Bear Blockmeyer gets his introduction into what it's like to play real defense this week. Should be neat. At BYU, though, anything could happen in a rivalry game like this. Last game, Texas Tech at Arizona State. Now, there's one thing I've learned about the Big 12 is that whenever an undefeated team with a lot of hype that's an odds favorite to win the conference is playing a team that is probably being slept on, you shouldn't immediately pick the overhyped team and be 100% confident. I am going to take Texas Tech here, but if Sam Levitt's healthy, this is absolutely a losable game. And I had ASU winning this game preseason, but with how the things have shaken out so far, I just don't feel confident about it. Texas Tech is every bit as good as I thought they would be and more. Arizona State's been a little bit disappointing. I'm going to take Texas Tech by 2 possessions, 41-28, but look for Arizona State to absolutely have a chance at handing Texas Tech their first loss here.
Texas looked too good, and what happened with Arizona State last week? I'm not sure how severe Sam Levitt's injury was. Do you know
I don't
what
think
it
so.
is?
If it
It's
was
like a
out late like that for them announcing the injury, I'm sure they were just holding him out to try to preserve him for the rest of the season. So I
yeah.
bet he'll be back this week.
I'm not sure how much that's going to affect his performance. Even if it doesn't affect his performance at all, I still think Texas Tech is a good bit better. And I know it's at Arizona State. They really, really need this win, but I feel like it's just not going to be enough. I like the Red Raiders here, 34-24, and actually I think they're going to be starting Will Hammond this week, but I don't
Yeah,
think that's going to make a difference. He's played really well as well.
whether they pass the ball or they run the ball, they find something and they stick with it. And Texas Tech is so explosive, man. Cameron Dickey, the running back for Texas Tech, had over 230 yards last week against, was it Kansas? And
Yeah,
he dominated them. They barely had to throw the ball. I mean, that dude was feasting on Kansas. And Kansas is a solid football team. So I'm impressed with Texas Tech all over the field. I'm waiting for the game where they just tear it up through the air. The day I see them do that, they become a terrifying team to play right now, in my eyes. That's the only thing I haven't seen from them yet. Defensively, I've seen all I need to see. Offensively, I'm just waiting for them to really show a threat downfield. So I like Texas Tech as well. We're going to go ahead and get into our game preview and prediction and pod.